There's a certain kind of silence that follows disappointment, the kind that creeps into your room after the curtain drops or when the message never comes, or when you realize you've been left behind again. But in that quiet, if you sit with it long enough, you'll find something stirring. A flicker of a lyric, a fragment of truth, a reason to keep going, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. Pain has a way of making us feel powerless, like we're just passengers on a ride we never wanted to board. But what if it's the opposite? What if pain is the beginning of authorship? The moment you start writing your own story with ink you never planned on using. It isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's sitting at a kitchen table past midnight, scribbling into the margins of a notebook that's already full. Sometimes it's whispering to yourself, "This hurt, but I'm still here." Heartbreak isn't just for sad songs and tears on the bathroom floor. It can be a gateway to clarity. When something shatters, you can finally see the pieces, and that's when the real work begins, putting them back together into something stronger, maybe even something beautiful. People will try to tell you that emotion makes you weak, but truthfully, feeling deeply is a kind of superpower. It gives you the ability to notice things others miss, to empathize when others turn away, to create from a place of raw, undeniable truth. The irony is, the more you lean into the pain, the more you understand yourself. You start to recognize your patterns, your fears, your deepest desires. And then slowly you turn them into verses, chapters, brushstrokes, businesses, revolutions. You take what was meant to break you and build from it instead. There's a quiet rebellion in that, in refusing to be reduced by the things that tried to silence you. One talks about how empowering it is to tell your own side of the story, not for pity, not for applause, but for closure, for clarity, for reclaiming your power. You don't have to wait for someone to rescue you or validate your pain. You can pick up the pen yourself. You can turn the tears into thunder, the rejection into a stage, the silence into a symphony. There's a moment in every journey where the old version of you starts to feel a little too tight, like a dress you used to love that no longer fits the way it used to. The seams pull, the colors fade. You try to adjust, to squeeze back in because it used to feel safe. But the truth is, you're growing. And growth rarely feels comfortable. It's not easy to change in front of people. They get attached to who you were, to the version of you that made sense to them. Maybe you were the sweet one, the quiet one, the underdog, the golden child. Maybe they loved your softness, your wildness, your innocence. And when you start to shift, when you cut your hair, raise your voice, chase a new dream, change your mind, the world might look confused. Some people might even get angry. They'll ask what happened to you, as if becoming more of yourself is something tragic. But evolution isn't betrayal, it's self-respect. It's honoring the whisper in your gut that says, "This no longer serves me." It's shedding the layers that no longer reflect who you are, even if they once felt like home. Reinvention doesn't mean you're being fake. It means you're being true, truer than you've ever been. You can't grow if you're clinging to the version of yourself that made everyone else comfortable. Every season brings its own rhythm. There's a time for glitter, for quiet, for rage, for reflection. You're allowed to shift gears, to try new things, to fail in public and start over anyway. Some of the most powerful transformations happen when you stop asking for permission and start listening to your own inner compass. not the critics, not the expectations, just that quiet, steady voice inside that knows when it's time to move forward. You won't owe anyone an explanation when you outgrow the things that once defined you. Let them talk. Let them speculate while they're busy holding on to the past. You'll be building something new, something wild, something bold, something entirely yours. You'll be discovering parts of yourself that only reveal themselves in motion, in the in-between, in the risk of becoming. Maybe you let someone else tell your story because it's easier than standing in the spotlight and saying, no, that's not who I am. But then there's this shift, sometimes quiet, sometimes fierce, where you realize that giving other people control over your narrative means losing pieces of yourself in the process. It means being misunderstood on a loop. It means being edited down to fit a version that's convenient or comfortable for someone else. And that realization, as painful as it might be, is also the beginning of taking it all back. Owning your narrative doesn't mean shouting over everyone else. It means speaking from a place so rooted in truth that no one can twist it without revealing their own agenda. It means reclaiming your story not with rage, but with precision, with intention, with clarity. You decide what chapters are public, what moments get protected, and what truths are finally ready to be spoken aloud. You stop handing the pen to people who only ever wanted to write you into their own plot. And the beauty of it, the moment you begin to write your own story, not for applause, not for defense, but for liberation, everything shifts. You start to feel the weight lift. You start to feel seen, even if only by yourself at first. The narrative becomes more than just survival. It becomes power. It becomes legacy. Because there's nothing more unstoppable than someone who refuses to be defined by misunderstanding. Someone who rewrites every misquote, every misjudgment, every misstep into something honest, something whole. I'll still talk. They always do. But it won't matter as much anymore because when you're the author of your story, their version becomes background noise, just static against the sound of your truth being spoken out loud. It starts when no one's watching, when the lights are off, the phone is on silent, and the world is asleep. That's when the real work begins. The long hours that don't make it into the highlight reels, the quiet hustle behind the curtain, the drafts no one reads, the practice runs, the late night doubts followed by early morning determination. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it's where the magic is built. Moment by moment, choice by choice, one small, disciplined act at a time. Talent will get you noticed, but it won't carry you the whole way. The truth is, Talent without grit fades fast. There are people with more connections, more experience, more advantages, but the one thing no one can take from you is your work ethic. That deep, stubborn drive that pushes you to go further than what's expected. The kind of energy that keeps you rehearsing after everyone else goes home. That makes you rewrite a line 27 times until it finally feels like it came from your soul instead of your pen. There is something wildly underrated about effort. In a world obsessed with instant success, it's easy to forget that most of the greats didn't wake up one day and find themselves there. They climbed, slowly, painfully, relentlessly. They said yes to the things no one saw value in yet. They kept showing up, even when no one clapped. Especially when no one clapped. Working hard isn't about burning out or proving your worth through exhaustion. It's about honoring the dream enough to give it everything you've got, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. It's about falling in love with the process, not just the applause at the end. The real victories happen long before the spotlight hits. In the quiet moments when you choose discipline over doubt, focus over perfection, progress over perfection. People might think it all came easy, like it was handed to you, wrapped in gold. Let them think that. Let them believe the myth if they want. You'll know the truth that every inch of progress was earned, that you put in the work when no one else would, that you didn't wait to be chosen, you chose yourself. Over and over until the results became undeniable. There's a kind of magic that happens when someone feels seen, not just noticed in passing, but truly seen, like their voice matters, like their presence means something. That kind of connection can't be manufactured. It doesn't come from algorithms or marketing plans. It comes from heart. From showing up with sincerity, from making space for others, even when the world demands that you stay center stage. Success can be isolating if you let it. The higher you climb, the more voices there are trying to pull you in 100 different directions. Everyone has opinions, everyone has ideas about what you should do next. But there's something sacred about staying grounded, about remembering the people who walked beside you before the world took notice. The ones who believed when you were still building, who listened before the crowd showed up, who held you up when you questioned everything. Staying close to your people doesn't mean staying small, it means staying real. It means answering the messages, learning the names, listening when it's easier to speak. It's the handwritten note instead of the automated response. It's looking someone in the eye at a meet and greet and making them feel like they're the only one in the room. Because for them, that moment might be everything. And you don't forget that. Not if you know what it's like to feel invisible. The ones who stick around through the shifts, the eras, the wins, and the heartbreaks. They're not just fans, followers, or supporters. They're part of the story. They're woven into every lyric, every late night brainstorm, every comeback. And when you treat them like that, when you honor that bond, something extraordinary happens. Loyalty grows roots, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. Connection is not a transaction, it's a relationship. It's trust built over time through honesty, vulnerability, and consistency when you show people your whole self, the messy, evolving, deeply human version. They don't just cheer for your success, they feel it because they were part of the journey. They invested in your rise, not with money, but with belief. And the truth is, no matter how far you go, how big the stage gets, how loud the applause becomes, What will always matter most is knowing that someone out there feels less alone because of something you created, something you said, or simply because you made them feel like they belonged. Success isn't just about charts, trophies, or applause echoing through a stadium. It's about choosing to turn pain into art instead of letting it define you. It's about giving yourself permission to evolve even when it confuses the crowd. It's about standing in your truth and taking back the pen when others try to write your story for you. Each day, it's the hours no one sees, the work done in silence, the relentless pursuit of a vision only you can see clearly, and above all, it's about the hearts you touch along the way, the people who believe in your light, even when you're still learning to see it yourself. Because success isn't a destination, it's a rhythm, a feeling, 1,000 tiny choices made with courage and intention. It's showing up again and again as your fullest, fiercest, most unapologetic self.